Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're really tackling a serious one. Synthetic cannabinoids. You probably know them as K2, or maybe spice. They get pushed, often as like safe alternatives to cannabis or fake weed, but that's just dangerously misleading.
Absolutely. And that's our mission today, really, to unpack the huge health risks and, the fundamental ways these differ from natural cannabis. We've looked at the data. Names like Black Mamba, Bombay Blue, Genie, Zohai, they're tied to some really awful outcomes.
Okay, so let's unpack this. What are these lab-made chemicals? Because the deception starts right there, doesn't it?
Yeah, essentially they're designer drugs. Think of compounds like JWH018, maybe HU210. These are just examples. There are hundreds. Illicit labs are constantly creating them, tweaking the structures just slightly.
Why tweak them?
Well, mainly to stay ahead of the law. As soon as one specific chemical formula gets banned, boom, a new, slightly different, unregulated one appears on the market. It's a constant cat and mouse game.
Okay, but here's where it gets really critical, I think. How they actually work in your body, that mechanism.
Right. This is the absolute key difference. So natural THC from cannabis, it sort of gently interacts with your brain's cannabinoid receptors, the CB1 receptors mainly. It's a partial agonist.
Okay, partial agonist, like turning a dimmer switch partway up.
Exactly like that. But these synthetic cannabinoids, they are full agonists. They slam that switch all the way on, maximum activation. Plus, many are way, way more potent than THC, sometimes 10, sometimes even 100 times stronger. HU210, for instance, is over 100 times more potent.
Ooh.
Yeah, and that massive overactivation just completely overwhelms your body's systems.
So with that kind of sledgehammer effect, what does that actually mean for someone using them? It sounds incredibly unpredictable.
That's the word, unpredictable. They're made illegally, zero quality control. So the dose, even the actual chemical, can vary wildly from one packet to the next, even if they look the same. And crucially, they're often contaminated, seriously contaminated.
With what?
Well, sometimes with things like fentanyl, which, as you know, can stop breathing, cause death very quickly. Yeah. And sometimes, and this is truly horrifying, with brodifacoum.
Brodifacoum is
It's rat poison.
Rat poison, you're kidding.
I wish I were. It causes severe, life-threatening bleeding. Bruising, bleeding gums, coughing up blood in urine or stools. It's horrific. There was a big outbreak in Illinois back in 2018 linked to this. Brodifacoum contamination in spice products led to 164 people getting sick and, tragically, 4 deaths.
So each time someone uses this stuff,
yeah,
it's literally like Russian roulette.
Precisely. A terrifying gamble.
So, okay, someone takes this. What happens right away? And what are we seeing down the line, the long-term damage?
Immediately. The acute effects can be really intense. We're talking rapid heart rates, sometimes seizures, severe agitation, and acute psychosis is common. Vivid hallucinations, sometimes visual things like geometric patterns, sometimes auditory. Users can get extremely agitated, even violent. It looks very different from someone using natural cannabis. People on SCs often seem angry, sweaty, agitated, more like an amphetamine reaction, honestly. Not mellow or humorous.
And long-term.
The risks are significant. Persistent psychosis, higher chances of developing schizophrenia or bipolar disorder later on. Major cognitive problems too, memory loss, trouble focusing. There's evidence suggesting potential permanent brain damage, like shrinkage in areas important for memory and emotion, the hippocampus and amygdala. And another key point, these synthetics lack CBD, cannabidiol, which is present in natural cannabis and seems to offer some protective effects against psychosis. These synthetics don't have that buffer.
Wow. And what about addiction?
Addiction develops fast. And the withdrawal. It's brutal. Far, far worse than cannabis withdrawal. Intense craving, severe anxiety, panic attacks, psychosis again, seizures, even delirium. It often requires hospitalization, medical management.
The sheer scale of the public health problem here is kind of staggering when you lay it out.
It really is. Just look at ER visits. Between 2010 and 2011 alone, they more than doubled. Went from about 11,000 visits up to over 28,000 just for SC-related issues. And for young adults, 18 to 20, the numbers quadrupled in that same period. It hits young people hard. About 79% of those ER visits were males, too.
But the most chilling difference compared to natural cannabis?
Fatalities. Documented deaths directly caused by synthetic cannabinoid toxicity. Hundreds in the U.S., at least 55 in Australia between 2011 and 2017 alone. You just don't see documented deaths from cannabis toxicity alone. That's a critical distinction.
And it's hard to treat, right?
Incredibly difficult. First, they don't show up on standard hospital drug tests, so doctors might not even know what they're dealing with initially. Second, there's no specific antidote, no magic bullet to reverse the effects. Treatment is purely supportive care, managing the heart rate, the seizures, the psychosis, basically trying to keep the person safe while the drug wears off.
Okay, so the bottom line, crystal clear. Synthetic cannabinoids are not safe, not an alternative. They're incredibly potent, dangerously unpredictable, have zero medical use, and every single use is a massive gamble, could be fatal.
Exactly. And thinking bigger picture, the fact that new versions keep popping up all the time, it means our public health systems, our regulations, they need to be incredibly nimble, constantly adapting to keep up with this evolving threat.
Right. This whole deep dive really highlights, doesn't it, why understanding how the mechanism of a drug, plus its totally unregulated nature, and this constant churn of illicit chemistry, why it's all so vital. It makes you wonder, what other designer substances are out there maybe flying under the radar right now that we need to be paying attention to, something to think about as you continue your own deep dives.